well. Now, Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, has been placed under house arrest just days before his trial on allegations of plotting a coup to overturn the 2022 election results. The arrest order came from Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who was recently sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury. He accused Bolsonaro of violating restraining orders by seeking intervention from U.S. President Donald Trump. The U.S. State Department has condemned the arrest, calling it a threat to democracy, and warned of consequences for those aiding sanctioned conduct. Bolsonaro's family remains vocal. His son, Senator Flavio, called the arrest revenge for sanctions on the judge. Bolsonaro's lawyers have appealed the decision, denying any violation of court orders. Meanwhile, his supporters held their largest rally in months as tensions between Brazil and the U.S. continued to escalate. Let's listen into what some Brazilians had to say on Bolsonaro's arrest.
Na verdade, eu acharia mais justo se ele tivesse na cadeia. Assim como o Lula ficou, fez coisa errada, vai pra cadeia. Ele
ainda. Mas entendo que ele é uma figura política, tem toda uma pressão também sei lá, quase metade da população brasileira que vota, né? Então isso tem que ser feito com cuidado. Mas acho absurdo ele ainda estar por aí falando.
Mas ele tinha que ficar preso mesmo, em casa.
Now we are joined by Ross Feingold. He's a political analyst, joins us live from Taipei. Thank you, Ross, for staying with us. Now, with the U.S. State Department condemning the arrest as a threat to democracy, how do you view the tension between judicial independence in Brazil and external political pressures by U.S.?
In the short term, this situation is probably going to get worse. There's clearly an intense personal dislike between President Trump and President Lula. The United States is convinced that this prosecution is just political revenge or political persecution. Brazil is saying that its judiciary is independent. You know, the president and the government of Brazil are saying we don't control what the judiciary does. Although there's been some legitimate concerns about judicial overreach by Brazil's courts in recent years. Most famously, their battle with X, for example, with regard to taking down posts. So compared to other democracies, the judiciary in Brazil does have an enormous amount of authority. However, that's kind of independent from whether or not the charges against Bolsonaro are legitimate. I think we have to wait and see how that court process plays out, what kind of evidence is provided, whether or not it does in fact, or his actions that day or preceding that riot do in fact violate Brazilian law. But one thing is absolutely certain here. The Trump administration on this issue is not going to change its position. There'd have to be some kind of exact action by either the Brazilian executive branch or by the courts to basically end the prosecution, or if he's convicted, to give Bolsonaro a pardon. But when it comes to the politics and the foreign relations or the diplomacy side of this, separate from the trade issues, President Trump and his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, their views are not going to change. They are very, very fixed in viewing this as a political persecution.
Thank you very much, Ross Feingold, for joining us.